Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're going to be learning about path parameters with FastAPI. Path parameters are parts of the URL that are used to capture values. They are essential for creating dynamic endpoints where the URL path itself can vary. The code will be available on my GitHub in the link in the description. Let's see what path parameters actually are by looking at some examples of a URL. These are example URLs that will get specific item data from a website. Each URL will return different data. We can see the URL is the same except for the part where the number is after the / items. These numbers correspond to the path parameter since they can vary. We can consolidate these URLs into a general template, having the item ID as an open and closed curly braces with the variable item ID inside. We can take this template and break it into sections. We have the base URL, the endpoint, and the path parameter. We can then take the endpoint and path parameter and put it into the route for our API. We can see how the URL from the beginning gets translated into an API endpoint for our application. And we can have this as a synchronous function, meaning it runs sequentially from start to finish. Or we can have it as an asynchronous function where code can run in the background and not necessarily sequentially from start to finish. We can also use the await keyword to wait for async code to finish executing. You can name the path parameter anything you want, as long as it matches what you name the parameter in the function declaration. By default, the path parameters are converted into strings. So for example, we can explicitly say this should be a string by adding the type int. We can convert this into other data types like integers, floats, booleans, and UUIDs. And UUID does stand for Universal Unique Identifier. Another important thing to know is that the order of your requests matter for the same type of request. Let's say we had another route with a GET request specifically for the item number 2. If we try to hit the endpoint specifically for item 2, what do you think will happen? Well, it will return the value from the getItem function instead of the getItem2 function. This is because FastAPI will interpret routes in the order they are written. So we can start up our server and then go check this out in the docs to actually see this happen. So here we have the code set up and we go ahead and start our server and it's running at this URL. So we will go ahead and control click or command click on Mac to open this up in the browser. And we can see it just opens up straight to the URL right here. But if we do add that /items /2 as we had in our code, then it returns item 2 instead of message invalid that we had for our code. We can also head over to the docs and we can see the two different requests that we have. We can see even if we come over to the getItems /2 specifically and we go ahead and try it out and execute, it still returns the item ID 2. Even though in our code, the items 2 should return message invalid. But if we go ahead and swap these around and save it and have our server restart, head back over to the browser. We'll go ahead and refresh the page and we can see the order of our routes has changed. So if we do this items /2, try it out, execute, and then come down to the response, it is message invalid. And also if we close this, open up the other one, try it out, and here we put 2 and go ahead and execute it. We also get message invalid as the response, since the order of our routes do matter. For path parameters where only specific values are valid, we can use Python's Enum class to define these values. FastAPI will validate the path parameter against the enum values automatically. We can import the enum class from Python's enum package. We can create a class called fruit inheriting from the enum class with some enum values of apple, banana, and orange. These will be translated into string values, and we can use these in our routes as predetermined values. We have a route for our API to get the fruit based on our enum. So first, seeing that this is what our server looks like, we can head over to the browser and refresh the page. So here we have our new endpoint with the fruits. We can go and open this and try it out. And we can see it gives us a drop down of the different options we have in our enum. We can select any of them. I would just select orange, hit execute, and we'll go ahead and scroll down. And we can see the response is the fruit with orange, since that's the one we selected. We can also take a route and apply more than one path parameter to it. So let's say we want to add an amount for the fruit to our endpoint. We add the path parameter to the route string, and then add the parameter to the function and give it a type of int. And that's a wrap on some basic usage you can do with path parameters. You've seen how to define them, use different data types, ensure the correct order, and even restrict values to enums. FastAPI makes it incredibly straightforward to work with path parameters, enhancing your web APIs with minimal effort. In the next video, we'll go over some validations we can do with more advanced uses. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.